Hey there, film fans. I'm Jeff.
I'm Dave, and John's away, so I'll say, and welcome to The Love of Cinema, a pod in which we'll challenge one another to discuss movies both new and old with a strictly positive critical eye.
That's right, and to avoid any lazy negativity, we are making this here episode a drinking game.
Yes, we are.
So anytime we say anything negative about this here film that we'll be discussing, you're going to hear this lovely sound.
It's lovely.
And you know what? If you want to have some fun catching up with this movie and trying to stay positive with us and maybe making it a drinking game yourself, we would love to have you drink along with us.
Yeah, so pour yourselves a glass, pop some magic mushrooms, and let's talk about The Green Knight.
Dave, did this movie make you want to go out in the woods and find yourself?
Oh my god. I'll get to that in a minute.
Just dive looking for some heads at the bottom of some springs, perhaps.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot to unpack on the
right.
Green Knight. Let's
Well, let's give our shout outs first really quick. So
shout-outs.
Carlos Barroso is our beer sponsor. You can
Love
find
that
his Instagram handle. He is finishing his beer sommelier training right this very second. He's our beer sponsor. That is Carlos Barroso. Find him on Instagram, like and subscribe. And then all of the music is by the artist known as Dasein, Dasein. You can find him on SoundCloud for sure. And you can go ahead.
SoundCloud. There's no N in other N in that. It's...
No, I crapped out in the middle of this as if I was Dev Patel in the middle of the forests in The Green Knight. Okay, so Positive Film Criticism Podcast, people, we are going to be talking about today The Green Knight.
Yes, we are.
We are later tonight, but you will hear this later in the week. We're going to discuss our Should Have Seen That By Now, which is a film that I actually did see when I was younger. Dave, had you seen Crouching Tiger?
I had not. I faked my way through conversations for years.
And that's why we have the segment.
Based on
Should
like
Have Seen
one
That By
trailer
Now.
scene, yeah.
That was also recommended to us. So stick around. Well, come back, join us, subscribe to us, like us, and then you'll see midweek episode drop for Should Have Seen That By Now is going to be Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. But let's get into The Green Knight early. Let's get going. People want to hear about this. I'm going to go ahead and give a little bit of the plot synopsis after I introduce the creative team, because this is written and directed by David Lowery, who you may know as the... He did A Ghost Story. He did the Pete's Dragon remake. And he did The Old Man and the Gun, the Robert Redford. Nice Dave, get the fuck. As well as Ain't Them Bodies Saints. And then he got some money to go around Ireland and make a really strange, trippy movie with The Green Knight here. This is based on the Arthurian medieval tale. So if you've ever heard of The Green Knight, like me, I was like, The Green Knight, that sounds so familiar. Does this star Ryan? Does this star Ryan Reynolds? No, that's a different Green. Seth Rogen? No, that's a different Green. What is The Green Knight? Green Knight. Oh, the Arthurian tale from 1390. This is gonna star Dev Patel, Alicia Vikander. So good to see you in a hit movie again.
Yeah.
Joel Edgerton. Sarita, Choudhury, who I saw in Little Fires Everywhere recently, but she's a familiar face. And then, of course, blowing up everywhere, you're going to continue to see Erin Kellyman, who is in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yes, she was.
As well as Solo, right? And, of course, playing King was Sean Harris, and playing the Queen is Kate Dickie. We're going to spoil what king and what queen in a second, but Sean Harris is one of my favorite actors on the planet, and then Kate Dickie you may know as Lysa Arryn or the mom in The Witch. Definitely not your straight-laced characters. She definitely is a character actress who gets put in some pretty difficult positions, and she always comes through. Here is the plot synopsis for The Green Knight, which just came out to the theaters. I know, Dave, you went to the cinema, as did I, today to see this movie. The short description is just a fantasy retelling of the medieval story of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. And the longer version is an epic fantasy adventure. It's no longer just a fantasy retelling. The longer description says it is an epic fantasy adventure based on the timeless Arthurian legend, The Green Knight. tells the story of Sir Gawain, Dev Patel, King Arthur's reckless and headstrong nephew. Well, I guess there's the spoil. King Arthur. Yes, that King Arthur, as played by Sean Harris. So his nephew, Sir Gawain, he embarks on a daring quest to confront the eponymous Green Knight, a gigantic emerald-skinned stranger and tester of men. Gawain contends with ghosts, giants. He doesn't really contend with the giants, but whatever. Thieves and schemers in what becomes a deeper journey to define his character and prove his worth in the eyes of his family and kingdom by facing the ultimate challenger. Dave, what do you think? Where do you want to go from here? Do you want to do initial thoughts first?
I mean, I was excited about this. The buzz about this film is amazing. And it was funny because I went and saw it with my wife. And we'll touch on that a little bit later because I have some thoughts that she has. I took notes.
We're a positive film podcast.
Yes, and no, but I actually really enjoyed this. Like I found it a little bit slow in the middle, but it's probably because I didn't quite understand what was going on. Because I will tell you, it has deliberately slow pacing that'll make you think, and the writing is very unforgiving. You'll either get this or you won't. Yeah. One way or the other, and it's going to be divisive. This one's going to be divisive, but to say it's not, like, they're right, it's epic. It is a spectacularly well-made film. There's not a performance that sucks at all. Everybody is like top of their game. The lighting in a lot of the scenes is just fucking beautiful. Yeah. And
I'm definitely going to ask for many of your takes on the way it was filmed.
The cinematography, like that's how you do a fucking pan away and reveal M. Night Shyamalan. That's how you do it. Okay. Yeah. Oh, that was me. That was.
Yeah, you did it yourself. There was one that was way more fish-eyed than the other one, so I was wondering if you'd spotted that. But
I didn't actually. I missed that one. I would just say like this. It's deep. It's not your popcorn flick where you walk away. This one's gonna, like, you're gonna be in this, or you're gonna be sitting there shaking your head, going, "What am I doing here?"
Yeah, I want to sticking with initial reactions. I had no idea what the fuck was going on for a lot of this movie, but at the same time, I was enthralled. You could tell that there is something so much deeper going on. You can tell that there is not just subtext that almost diminishes the work of the filmmaker, not just the writer David Lowery, but the filmmaker David Lowery. You can tell there are so many layers that, and I was in the theater, so this is, you mentioned the pacing. I have also heard that one thing that people keep saying, that like people who have a similar reaction to us, where it's like our initial reaction is just kind of awe, just kind of like, wow, that was really an achievement, that was epic, the performances, was the pacing's a little slow, and a movie like this is just going to deserve a second look, not necessarily right away, so don't not see this movie because you think you're not going to get it or whatever.
We will come back to the pacing as well, because that is included in the paragraph I have of my wife's notes.
So the pacing's a little slow, but I just did like very basic research because I was like, I can't talk on this podcast without at least trying to understand what it is, and then digging into the 5 virtues a little bit more, and actually, like, I didn't know that was fucking Merlin. Like,
yeah,
I was like,
oh really? You didn't get that?
No, and so, I didn't,
dude, from the fucking shake of the head, I was like, that's Merlin. I didn't
know it was King Arthur at first. I showed up to this movie 20 minutes after it started because of the trailers.
I mean, this happened to Therese as well, and it's like they start the movie and they show the king sitting there and they go, but this is not his story, and he bursts into flame. It's the same fucking guy. How'd you not know there was King Arthur?
That should make sense. Well, it started with Dev Patel as the king. In that like little fantasy.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's on me.
It was No, it was Dev with the crown. Because I love Sean Harris, and the reveal as him as the king. That was like, oh my God, it's that dude.
Well, if it wasn't because I went back and referenced that. So yeah, my wife was right at that point. I'll admit that right now on air. But when he handed him the sword, I was like, yeah, no, we all know who this is.
and idiot Jeff, and I had just seen Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, where the sword is a huge element of that film as well. So when I got this sword, I was like, well, it's just the king's sword, it sounds like a pretty badass thing. for what seems to be some kind of cousin or
I don't
nephew
know. There was
of
this.
the
There
king.
was a brief blue glow when he hands it over, and I went there. I'm like, no, I'm on board with this. I know where this is going. I know what's happening here.
The first thing I thought when the glow
was like-
happened was I bet you Dave loves the sound, because the sound in this
Yeah,
movie was so good.
the
and
sound is
right away-
amazing.
And again, I just seen Crouching Tiger, which we're going to talk about later.
I'm
Crouching
pretty
Tiger
sure
has
they
great
fucking.
sound effects too.
I'm pretty
but-
sure they tortured the shit out of a tree to get this sound effects, but like the sound was amazing.
Yeah, I actually thought they just watched The Happening and recorded it, and then sorry, I'm gonna drink that. Yeah. Okay, so anyway,
just bring that up.
just to finish up my initial reaction. So if you love, especially the acting performances that are done in any medieval kind of lore, and that includes things like Game of Thrones. Again, I tried to do some research after seeing this because I really didn't know what I was gonna say after watching, and they pull it together just that.
I mean, that's awesome, isn't it? Like, because I was sitting there as well, and I'm thinking, oh, I have like almost no fucking notes for this.
Yeah.
Because I
Okay.
don't know. I'm still processing what I just saw,
Yeah.
and that's why we go to the movies.
Yeah.
Like-
yeah.
Marvel is also why we go to the movies, but this is the other reason. Like,
It really was an epic piece of filmmaking. The way
Yes, it was.
the art and set direction. I was sitting there and I was like, I'm sure some of this is CG, but these interiors seem really fucking lived in. Like they seem really real, and like I feel
Yeah.
like that wood is pretty solid wood behind them, and the actors can touch them, because on some of those television shows you can tell that the actors can't touch anything, and so they're just like walking around like holding their hands, being like, I am not my
yeah,
crew is
it's
gonna
not
get
like
mad if I
Hateful
touch
Eight
this
where you
set."
can smash $1 million guitar that we borrowed from a fucking museum.
Yeah. And of course the cast is incredible. So already like you should be kind of hooked. And then pretty quickly into the movie comes this scenario where the king, it's Christmas, so this is going to be one of those like Die Hard-esque, like, is this a Christmas movie? It takes place at Christmas. It's like, yeah, I guess so.
I don't think this is gonna get the same clout as Die Hard, to be honest.
You don't think so? You don't think it's gonna have? You don't think it has quite the same rewatchability?
No.
So the king, Sean Harris, and his wife, Dickie, the queen, he asks at a Christmas party with all of King Arthur's knights, and it's very clear. Again, I'm idiot me. I didn't necessarily make the connection that it was King Arthur, but I knew that what was going on.
There's a fucking round table.
I'm a fucking idiot. Well, it was kind of a moon shape because it was, you know what I mean? Whatever, it doesn't matter. It was hollow in the middle, so I guess the servants can come in and whatever. He asks Dev Patel's character to come and sit next to him, and he has this. It's one of those monologues you don't even realize is a monologue because it's so well delivered, about how he's like, you are, my sister's son, and I wish I had I wish I had let you sit on my knee when you were younger and sit beside me. And again, knowing it's King Arthur, he was probably a very busy person, knowing everything we know about this king. So now
lots
later
of
in life,
paperwork, King Arthur.
Sean Harris is doing the thing that's like a lot of paperwork, that he's you can tell he's aging, and he asks Dev Patel's character the question, do you have a story for me? Because everybody's been hearing the stories of King Arthur around town, right?
Yeah.
Or at Camelot. And
His hype man
Dev,
was awesome.
His hype man was, oh my gosh. And Dev goes, no. And I should also say, Dev actually opens this movie after the fake opening, as we had talked about a second ago, in a brothel. He wakes up Christmas morning in a brothel and goes home, and he lives with his mother. And his mom says, where were you last night? And he's like, don't worry about it. And goes like, the mom knew that he was in a brothel, and she's not happy about it, and she might be a witch. Anyway, so very early on, we find out that King Arthur has basically endowed his now nephew with making something of himself,
I've been playing this with this in my mind, and wouldn't it be cool if the entire film, from the point where he asked him to tell him that story, is the story? Like, he starts the story with, I have no story to tell. And it's him telling King Arthur this story that he's just made up.
Oh, interesting. Oh, is that like a Life of Pi thing? Where at the end he was just the killer the whole
like
time?
Big Fish, yeah.
Oh, Big Fish, yeah.
Dude, you just fucking spoiled Life of Pi. Come on.
Yeah, right. Oh, it asks the question at the end. It doesn't decide for us.
Yeah.
Okay, so
You just did on this podcast.
fuck. Okay, you're right. Touche. Okay, so I'm giving a lot of preamble here, because then should we get into should we keep going with plot, or should we take any divergence there? What do you think?
I mean, no. Let's go with the plot.
So then right after this, it's still Christmas. It's still the feast. Dev Patel, you can tell he wishes he was a knight, even though he's a coward probably. And Dev Patel plays this really well subtly. I'm speaking as the observer, the observant. Not this is not dictated to me by the film. This is really, really, really good visual storytelling. And so on the Christmas dinner, I guess you could say, at, yes, Dave, the round table. It kind of looks like a crescent moon, but whatever.
Yeah, let's just push your ID at it. It's fine.
This knight comes in, and it looks like Dev Patel's mom may have summoned the knight via some sort of majestic. Witchcraft sounds dark and scary, but some sort of higher magical power possibly summoned this green knight who kind of looks like Groot is an Ent.
Yeah, she basically FedExed this thing.
Yeah.
This message
instantaneously
magically FedExed it, and it's very interesting. To be honest, my impression of this is what you get if you cross the 1981 movie of Excalibur with Patrick Stewart and a few other, like Liam Neeson turns up in that thing, with Stephen King's The Talisman.
Interesting. You're a Stephen King fan.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I've read every single book, actually almost every single book now because he keeps writing them and I'm a little behind. But like I read everything up to like 4 years ago. Stephen King's The Talisman crossed with Excalibur is where I would put this. Because like there's a quest involved, there's alternate realities, possibly. There's a lot going on.
So let's say the game. The game's fun. So this Green Knight comes in, and the Green Knight's enormous and moves very slow and is silent for a while. Kate Dickie, the Queen, Lisa Erin.
Silent to the end.
By the way, 26 pieces of flair. Right? What is on the Queen's like outfit? She has like all these pins and things that they keep showing us like on her fucking thing. It's really, really funny. That she reads the letter and something, I guess the voice of the Green Knight comes through her and she reads it. And essentially it's a Christmas game that any knight, again, these are all the brave knights of Camelot, any brave knight can puncture, wound this Green Knight, but next Christmas. So essentially they would get the prestige of sort of wounding this knight. It's sort of battle-esque, but it's very confusing, and I think it's meant to be. But next Christmas, this Green Knight has to return the favor on his terms in his chapel deep in the woods. So that might be a little confusing, but this essentially is the plot. So the Christmas game is any knight, anybody in the room in Camelot, any knight can essentially wound for free, which I don't think anybody really
land a
blow, and then whatever it is, a nip, a slit of the throat, whatever, and then the next year, the Green Knight has to return the favor.
Yeah, I mean, for fuck's sake, at my office parties, just snog under the mistletoe.
Just
like, honestly, it's like don't give me this George Michael Last Christmas you cut off my head bullshit. Like.
You can make out with. I'm buzzing to that. You can make out with the Green Knight on Christmas Day if you're lonely. Anyway, so obviously, quite obviously, Dev Patel's character is the one who steps up. Like he finally sees his chance. He doesn't even have a sword.
He's young and he's got something to prove. He borrows a sword and essentially goes complete fucking ham on this thing and chops its head off.
Yeah, and everybody thinks it's so cool. There's
it's
blood.
Great. It's awesome.
And then, of course, the thing that looks like a tree is still alive and carries its head out of there. It says, all right.
That is the first 5 minutes of
the
film.
That's it. Yeah, all right. So that's enough plot.
You're like, okay, he's done this, and now it's like it's picked up its own head and ridden off, and you're like, it's laughing, and it's like, oh shit, you got 12 months, dude, and it's going to do the same thing to you.
Right. So what does he do? He gets drunk as fuck. He keeps going to the brothel.
I would.
And he just, and he, rather than train or anything, he just becomes an influencer.
Yeah.
He takes a lot of bikini pics. He's definitely started to brand himself a little bit, and we see him a lot drunk at bars and clubs, but he becomes he becomes famous.
He's got some chainmail on going, feeling cute, might delete this later.
Yeah, exactly. And then when it comes time for Christmas, the king essentially says, you gotta make it you have to go. You have to go. And
Yeah.
Dev Patel's kind of like, well, what if it wasn't even real? What if it's not? And Sean Harris is like, you need your adventure that you talked about. This is it. This is your chance. And this is where I would say, and I got this hint, although what comes next from minute 20 to minute 2 hour,
Yeah. No, that stands.
Is you could tell that if it is the mom that dictated this whole thing, it was to kick her son in the ass. This guy might be the king. He's actually the only like blood relative of the king, of King Arthur, because he didn't have any children of his own. So he could be the king, and he can't just be a drunken fool who gets a crown on his head. Like, he needs to go out and earn it a little bit. And so thus begins, at the end of this non-training montage, is mostly people praying that he doesn't suck. That's what I would say, and helping him pack. And then he heads out in the woods.
Yeah. And there's no music for Into the Woods at all. He just off he goes and rides for a very long time.
Yeah.
Like there are some long shots in this. But also I was on board until I want to say about 2/3 of the way through. And I was like, what are we doing?
Was it after Joel Edgerton and Alicia Vikander? Because that got pretty cool.
Yeah, that got pretty cool. Like, Vikander is like sinister. I'm starting to think it's possible she cannot be trusted ever.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, she takes
like,
on quite a burden in here. She kind of plays two roles.
Alicia Vikander's in the movie. Okay, cool. She's gonna fuck something up. Like,
oh my god,
yeah.
The house. There's just so much going on. It was just so good. So he's out.
That
he's
whole
out in the woods.
the whole house segment is
bandits.
why
he's out in the woods in the stream, and rather than look for a sword, there were people laughing. So people must have known the story better, because Dev Patel's character meets what could be a spirit, but could be a human, which is.
That was comical. That scene was comical on purpose, I feel.
I think
you were supposed to laugh at that.
Yeah, because she's looking at the stream, so it's almost like the Excalibur story. Like, can you go in there and dive in? And they're like, "What do you want?" My head. Again, a little bit of a spoiler, but it's just fucking crazy stuff that keeps happening in the woods here. And he goes and gets her fucking head.
Yeah, also, I don't know what fucking woods he wanted into, but that shit was haunted.
As fuck.
Yeah.
Oh my god, but the when there's a lot of good shots, but when they're in the forest, all of the shots in the forest are incredible.
Also, it's just like everything is just lit to perfection. Like, even like the Keita field is perfect every single time. There's like spots where they'll walk, like in interiors in castles, they'll walk into a section just when you're starting to think that's a bit dark. He walks into like a bright section. They've lit it perfectly to fill the blocking where it's like, oh, I can't quite see. No, we're good. This isn't season 8 of Game of Thrones.
Jesus. They played with lighting a lot, because there were a lot of times where it was dark and then light would creep in, and you didn't know if it was coming through like holes in the structure that was. Yeah,
no, it's like not even the light, the fucking color. And cool. Like when they had two brands of visual effects in this film. There's the holy shit fucking giants. Yeah. Visual effects, and then there's the subtle stuff. Mm-hmm. And like they do the camera does a full rotation, and like the entire color palette changes at one point. And there's these wonderful sequences where it almost shows you an alternate reality where if he makes this choice, this is happening. But let's wind it.
I feel like it happens 10 different times.
I know, but then they wind it back and he makes the other choices. Like, this is where it could go. This is where, and that's one of the reasons I'm comparing it to Talisman. The house he ends up at is the other one, which is I kind of equate that. If anyone is a Stephen King fan, has read The Talisman, there's a town that he wanders into that's a honey trap, and he basically gets trapped there through circumstance, and you can't leave. And they try everything to keep him there, and that's the thing that this one scene when he finds his house with this couple living in it, and the other woman who was just fucking creepy brings to mind.
Was that Kate Dickie again? Was that the queen as in a double cast role? Do you think? I couldn't tell.
I don't know. Did you look that up?
No. The IMDb and a lot of the other things are keeping the names vague. They don't even have.
Good for them. There
are a couple characters who are double cast, which is it only adds to the what the fuck is going on here. Why is Alicia Vikander two different roles? But it's only like it's still king and queen. It's not listed as yeah, because like back to Merlin, the when the Green Knight comes in, the King Arthur just looks at Merlin, and Merlin just gives a nod.
He shakes his head. He's
Or
like,
shakes his head, meaning
don't
no.
do it.
Oh, that's what you got.
Don't do it.
I thought it meant it wasn't a problem.
No, don't do it. Because he's throwing down a challenge. He's throwing down the game. It's like, you don't want to be in this.
I see. Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
and then Merlin later becomes a baby snatcher.
Because he can't even lift the sword at this point. Like, he's old.
Yeah, he's
this
old
is the end of Arthur's rule.
Yeah,
and like
Harris is so good.
Actually, yeah, that was an Arthur I love to see, because you don't see that. It's like, yeah, you see the vibrant Arthur who comes in, he draws the sword out of the stone, he does all that shit, and then like you don't see the guy who's like fucking 70, can barely lift the sword anymore. He's looking haggard. He's not looking good.
Can we get into, before we actually get to the confrontation with the Green Knight, which of course is inevitable, and the house, yes, with Joel Edgerton, essentially in a castle, and Joel Edgerton hunts while this creepy woman who I guess is blind, and then Alicia Vikander, who
is apparently horny. Yeah,
I thought she was horny, but maybe she was more of a temptress, kind of fucking with her.
Yeah, I think it was just like they kind of just were like there to keep him.
Yeah,
we'll touch on this a little bit later.
Are we talking about the pentangle?
No, we're talking about because Therese, my wife, has actually read the poem and the literature that inspired this.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a loose translation, obviously, but yeah, she had some issues with that whole sequence and a lot of the other stuff around that area. So.
Okay, well, I just want to talk big picture, and I know our other co-hosts would take over the podcast talking about this kind of shit, so we should talk about it.
Yes.
So it's all of the steps along the way that get really trippy. Like, they do feel a little trippy. They do feel a little. I saw this Stone Cold Sober.
I'm pretty sure the giants didn't happen. That was the mushrooms.
Great. No buzzing, because you're absolutely right on
that. That is for sure. I think he was tripping on fucking mushrooms, and the giants never actually happened.
Well, okay, so...
And I'm not giving away much here. That happens in the trailer. You see that in the trailer.
The giants are in the trailer, yeah. So I'm not sure what's in the poem, because I was going to read it. It's a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. And I just saw this movie today. So
yeah.
Apparently, the nature of chivalry and the pentangle, which is we know as a star, but it's Christian morality towards knighthood and chivalry. There are essentially 5 virtues that all knights have to have, and it is very, very, very almost overstated in this film that Sir Gawain, Jesus Christ, Jeff. Okay, that's me. I'm Jeff. He's not a knight. And he admits out loud he wants to go on this quest, and what he's hoping is that when he returns, he will essentially be treated as a knight. One worthy of the crown, yes, but even more than that, just honor is what he said. He wants honor and respect. So the 5 virtues of a knight, which he is not a knight, are friendship, generosity, chastity, courtesy, and piety. And all 5 of those are represented on this journey along the way. And I never in a million fucking years would have gotten that. If somebody was like, bet $1 million if you can figure out what happened in this movie, never would I've gotten this, even if I read the poem.
So at this point, I want to get to my wife's reaction, because she's read the poem.
Did she bring this up? Because, like, for instance, the Alicia Vikander thing,
dude.
Now that I know that essentially he's being challenged on chastity, it's same thing with Sir Galahad in
when
Monty
you get to
Python.
the point in the poem, he does not budge. He doesn't give in. And he does in this. So basically, my wife's
in the poem.
Yes,
he is not virtuous at fucking all in this movie. He fails all 5 of them.
This is a discussion we had over burgers after we watched this movie. Like we went and sat down. She was still going half an hour later. So her first reaction when the end credit came up, she just sat there, shook her head, and went, nope.
Yeah.
And she was like, they took a virtuous knight and made him completely fucking spineless.
Unless that is that's the point, because the filmmaker
But
gets
no, well,
some
that's the thing. Like
agency here.
they've written this. Yeah, look, we had this discussion. It's like, yeah,
Okay, go
okay.
ahead.
So in modern day, your heroes have to be flawed. But when like this was written from the point where the hero wasn't flawed, he was a virtuous fucking knight. He's a virtuous knight for a reason. He doesn't need these flaws if you're telling the story, and he did not follow the tenets of the knight at all. It's in like basically we came up with the agreement that it's like writing Zeus as an accountant.
That was you
Yeah.
came up with that together?
Yes, but like also half the mythology in the poem itself is left out.
Well, that always happens.
She described this as an interpretive dance version of the story.
Fair. I'll take that.
Yeah. And I'm not even kidding. Like, this is happening outside the theater on 34th Street in New York. She's shouting this stuff at me. Like, this can only happen
Right
in New
next to
York.
Pennsylvania Station. Yeah.
And it was she like, this is not canon for Arthurian legends. Like, they just went completely off book for a lot of the stuff. Like, yeah, she went full fucking Last Jedi on me after this movie. It was like in her
Last
exact
Jedi, I thought about Last Jedi.
in her
too,
exact
actually,
in her exact words, they've castrated mythology.
Wow. That's good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna buzz you for that just because it sounds negative.
I said to her, you realize I'm going to get buzzed for all the things you said.
There you go. Actually, I didn't buzz most of them because actually the dance element kind of checks out. I think she meant it in a derogatory term, but it actually kind of checks out.
It does kind of check out. Like it does. I mean, on the IMDb page, it does say a fantasy interpretation.
For sure.
So that's. But she didn't see that, and she went in expecting the story that she'd read, which she was so excited to see this film because she'd read the story, and she was like, finally someone's going to bring this story. Like, everyone always hears about Arthur, let's bring this guy to the screen. And she was looking for something else. She did agree, however, that it's an exceptionally well-made film.
Oh yeah, I mean,
But
definitely a lot of
she had
masters of their
a
craft.
lot of problems with the story. Like,
Understood. Sorry, Therese, I get it.
Yeah,
You're
a lot of it is
you're
left
entitled.
out.
For sure.
Also, he does not, like in the poem, he doesn't bang that chick. So yeah.
Well, he didn't actually bang her here. She kind of was
But like nothing. Yeah, no indulgence whatsoever.
he-
No, go away.
So this
No means no.
is I get in a lot of, as a I guess former actor. Nobody's acted in a year anyway, outside of these television and these movies that people that did their COVID protocols, but theater for sure. Is as the actor, we like to praise actors for putting themselves in it. Like, I didn't want to do that to that character because that's not true to me. And it's like, fuck you, you're playing this character. Like,
Yeah.
that character is God, essentially, when you're playing it. When it comes to directors and filmmaking, we also love when they put their own stamp on things. And so the fact that he very deliberately fails these 5 virtues, which again, I did not get when I saw this movie. So take my initial take without knowing any of this kinds of stuff that we're breaking down.
Yeah.
But like, he fails all of these. There's the friendship thing, which I guess is he's friends with the fox and then kicks the fox to the curb later. And then the fox is the one who actually chases the giants away. And I think the biggest part of the giants was that Dev wanted a free ride, because his journey was tough. He wanted the giants to carry him. And the giant actually kind of turns and goes, okay, well, maybe I could work this out. And the fox is the one that was like, you fucking dude, you can't do this. This is your quest. Like, there's no, what's the Walt Disney World? Like the
Monorail?
The gondola that takes
yeah.
everybody. Yeah, exactly. Like, you can't gondola your way to the fucking Green Knight, dude. So anyway, and then the generosity thing. I thought those bandits were just a bunch of pricks. But to be fair,
that was kind of weird.
A knight wouldn't take directions from somebody and then go, thanks, see you around, as this person is on a battlefield. You know what I mean? The knight would have more dignity. So anyway, what I'm saying here is the director did all of this for a reason. The director took people who were faithful readers of the original text, and he must have known that he was taking this tale. So is he trying to say,
I mean, there
nobody's deserving of this?
There were definitely some liberty. I think for a modern audience, like if I want to pull it back to a Marvel thing, Iron Man has flaws. Iron Man's a fucking superhero. Why does he need flaws? Like, and so this knight who has like all these virtues and is supposed to be like knightly, and I feel like for a modern audience, if you write that as all these virtues, it comes across as unrealistic. So they felt the pressure to write flaws into his character, and it, like, if you read the original, like, it's a deviation from the original text.
That is true. Yeah, that is definitely true. And so that could go into a different rant of why everybody needs to.
It's not bad.
Instead of telling their own original story about a knight or a lord or an aristocrat who is looking for something that he doesn't deserve, so therefore gets lost in the woods. Instead of that, we take this story and then we make it into the thing that we want to tell. So maybe we are bastardizing.
Yeah, no, well, not necessarily. It's like a modern reimagining. It's like, I have to write these characters for a modern audience who are expecting these characters to be slightly flawed so they can grow. They want to see themselves in the character, otherwise they won't relate to them.
Is the whole thing fictional? I mean, who knows if any of the Arthur stuff is real? I think he actually was the king of Camelot. I'm not saying he found the cup and humanity's been great ever since. But did he actually become king? Is there a ledger that has this like dictated that?
I actually do not know, and I was trying to convince Therese to like join us later, like when we could record this later, and she could tell us all about it, because I was like, it was so funny when we walked out of that, and she was so mad. And like, because I'm like, you know, I'm like 5'11", she's like 5'1", and she's just ranting at me on the street in 34th Street. It was pretty funny.
We'll have to do a should have seen that by now with John in like 2 months, and Therese can come on and give us all the stuff, because this definitely is gonna. So we're gonna get to the ending, I suppose, soon. I feel like there's meat. I wish I could just hype up as much of. I just talked about the 5 virtues, like they were like check, but we're talking about an hour and a half of like discovery and interpretation, modern
there is
dance,
so
like
much.
Crazy
there's
stuff
so much more going on in this film than we're talking about. Like there is like, I mean, you saw it and took something away from it. I saw it, took something different away from it. She saw it and took something different away from it. So like, this is one of those films that like, it's gonna be divisive and possibly in multiple ways. So like, and that's a good film.
For sure. When he leaves the house with Alicia Vikander and Joel Edgerton's characters, and he starts writing, and he sees the fox again, and it's great. And it's almost like he's like, can we just get this over with? And I thought Dev played those final like. Actually, I got apocalypse now. I don't know what it is. Is it just because we have a movie podcast? Like every step of the way, I was like, oh no, this is that.
No, he was way better than Apocalypse Now.
What, Dave? I thought you came around when we saw that last year.
No, I didn't.
We watched a couple of us watched the extended version of Apocalypse Now, the director's cut of it. For anybody who wants to.
Why would you want more of that?
Well, I wanted the French couple. I wanted the French couple who was like shitting on the Americans. That was like a cool part of the story. Anyway, so Dev finally gets there, and he's going to go to this chapel. And first of all, I don't think I've said it enough that they filmed this in Ireland, and I can't tell you the accents. There were some. They say Anglo-Saxon in it, but there are many days and many nights where it's not just the people and the way, you know, how they present and such. There's something about Ireland, Scotland, that area, that it's like, sometimes I just want my movie to be in Ireland for 2 hours.
No, you know what? I
want that.
The accents don't bother me. I want to know what their smoke fluid budget was.
What the what budget
was? The smoke fluid budget. For all the fog budget? Drifting through all these fucking scenes, man. Yeah. And yeah, it was funny because Teresa was like, yeah, they're in Ireland. They don't need that. It's there.
Their location scout. Machine, I hope their location scout was like, you have to film between 5 and 8 a.m. because the fog is 30% precipitous.
Yeah.
From the,
you're going to get rays, man. You're going to get light rays.
It is miraculous. Yeah. Watch this movie if for nothing else than the brilliant acting and the interesting.
I mean, this is how you shoot a fucking film. This is really how you shoot a film.
It's definitely shot like an epic, it's paced like an epic. Also, there's very little action in this movie, so the trailer I think was misleading because it is kind of an adventure movie. It's a quest film, but there's not a ton of action. So a lot of epics. To fill, we're talking about pacing. Like usually when they're slow paced, they have definitely one with coming up.
This is definitely one with the journey is everything.
The journey, yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm sure there are drug references to be made that
Oh hell yeah! I still stand by the giants are a mushroom trip, because he ate those mushrooms, he threw up, and then he saw giants.
You're 100% right.
Yeah.
You know what? You're 100% right, because that's what would happen, right? And the fox also ate the mushrooms too, by the way. So the fox is game for this. The fox is like, yeah, just give me a little bit of it because I'm smaller than you.
Yeah.
All right. So he finally gets to the chapel, and I'll just say in Ireland there are 1,000-year-old chapels. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
By the time they get to it, I don't know what I was expecting, but it's
Again,
exactly what it
there's a
should have
fucking color
been.
palette change right there as well.
And the lighting too, which is cool. Also, what they don't say out loud is he arrives a day early, and I thought that was such a good
great.
I love that they don't tell us these things, because if they told us all of this, then this movie would have been really boring. You know what I mean? Because I would have been like, okay, it's the 24th, and I was like, twiddle my thumbs. But I'm sitting there, I'm like, is it early? What's like? Why is this not confrontation not happening yet? I thought like, I was like, and then of course like the sun comes up again, and the Green Knight finally comes to. Here comes a little bit of a spoiler, I guess, and it's like, is it Christmas?
Yeah, because the Green Knight basically spent his whole time fucking drunk. Yeah.
We've been waiting this whole movie. The whole fucking point of this movie is that because Dev got the glory, he has to follow through on the terms of the game. And he shows up, and the Green Knight goes, "Oh, is that today?" Oh my god, it's so funny. But then, of course, the ending, people are going to be talking. The ending is going to be.
It's like the medieval equivalent of New Phone Who Dis.
Yeah. It's like, right, you're that guy. Thanks for bringing my axe back. I'm going to use this now.
The axe that kept changing color, but yeah.
The axe that somehow Dev got back. There's so much detail.
I'm pretty sure. That was. Yeah, again, that falls into this whole thing was him telling a story.
There's all the shit about the ending that I saw in my 10 minutes of doing research on this that I don't even want to get into, because I want people to take it in and kind of observe it for themselves.
Yeah, go and see this opening weekend. Go and see this film, interpret it for yourself, come to our Facebook group, find us on Facebook, and add yourself to the group and tell us what you think of this film, because I can guarantee you there's going to be 100 different fucking opinions of this film.
Oh my gosh, yes. And the different characters.
And
we usually talk about actors even more.
I would say about 80% of them are going to be good, 20% of them are going to be what the fuck was going on, but 80% of them are going to be glowing, oh my god, I got this from it, I got that from it, it was beautiful, it was all that sort of thing. Oh,
Dave!
I mean, we're overdue for that.
We were overdue for that. Well, the fact that I didn't know that this was King Arthur and I liked it, and then now that I'm learning about the fucking pentangle and the lore, and I'm like, I do want to see it again. The only thing though is that I think the pacing's great for the first watch. I'm a little nervous to see people watch it at home, because you're gonna get the itch to grab a device or grab a beer or whatever, and it's the fact that I was stuck with this was fun for I think that was cool, but I'm very curious for the rewatch to see.
Yeah.
Now knowing the thing about the knight and Dev Patel being the unworthy heir, and also people being heirs to thrones that they didn't deserve. Think about all the knights of King Arthur's that would have made better kings than this fucking guy in this interpretation, I should say, Dave. Anyway.
Well, I think we've covered everything we can with this.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh. I'm glad we talked about this, because if I didn't talk about this movie, I don't know where I would have gone after I saw this. Oh my gosh. Well, again, as Dave said, please subscribe, reach out to us. We will comment back.
We'll talk to you.
We might as well. We got enough. Yeah.
Come and find us on the Facebook group.
Yeah, we love the Facebook group. Dave keeps it going, keeps it moving. We got all the videos here on YouTube too. So please. Dave, why don't we wrap it up with what you've been watching and maybe a recommendation or two?
Interesting. What I've been watching is The Watch. I've come back to that. It's kind of a reinterpretation, given that we just watched something that was a reinterpretation. This is a reinterpretation of some Terry Pratchett Ringworld characters, or Discworld characters, sorry. And nice. It's a very interesting show.
Okay.
There are some very, very English characterizations, and then there's some very, very not English characterizations. And it's the characters all work. It's so inclusive. I want to say it's a really
Nice.
good. It's a really interesting show. If you can get give it a couple of episodes to get yourself endeared to the characters, and you will not look back.
No shit. I love that.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff came out. Outer Banks season 2 just came out. Believe it or not, I did watch Outer Banks season 1. My 13-year-old cousin recommended it, and I started watching it. I was like, all right, well, I would have liked this when I was 13, so I'm gonna.
Yeah, didn't that come out 4 years ago?
It was last year, man, 2020.
Wow. Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Get the fuck out. No, but I didn't see that. But Ted Lasso is one that I'm on the Ted Lasso
you and
season
every
2, and it's been...
fucking person on the planet.
I was late to the party.
The Twitter sphere is blowing up about Ted Lasso.
I was late to the party, but here I am. And then some Olympics, although not as much Olympics as I probably would have otherwise. But anyway, that's it for us. Thank you so much for joining us here to talk about The Green Knight. We are going to be talking about Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Starting
That's
now.
my stage name also.
So this is this is the most sober we will be for that podcast, is this very moment that you hear us. So
right now.
Please join us for a rewatch of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, available on Stars. People, go see The Green Knight in theaters. Dave, any final words for everybody?
Nope. Go see The Green Knight.